Welcome to AMG Academy. Get ready to dive into a vibrant community where insurance professionals come together to discuss the latest in sales techniques, innovative business strategies, and the power of collaboration. Whether you're looking out for the next big trend in sales or seeking insights into strategic business growth, this is your hub. This is AMG Academy.
Hello and welcome to another edition of AMG Academy. Matt McClure here with you as always, and so glad to be with you this time around as we take a look at some more topics in the insurance industry that are important for you as agents, as marketers, as individuals out there in this space. Really do appreciate you taking the time and hope that you get something from each and every episode of the show where we have different, people who are experts in this field come on and talk about these different topics. And today, that particular person happens to be Mr. Barry Hensley, who is Executive Marketing Director with Amerilife Marketing Group. Barry, welcome back. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me on.
Well, it's been probably about, I'd say about a year, maybe almost, since you've been on the show. So, maybe for people who have in the intervening time, maybe joined into the Amerilife family, introduce yourself a little bit to those who might not know you.
Sure. Absolutely. So I've been with Amerilife over 20 years. I'm not going to say exactly how many because every year that goes by makes me feel a little bit older. And so we'll just go with over 20 years. I started with the original marketing company, Amerilife Marketing Group, out of Clearwater, Florida, back in 1998. So that kind of tells you there. But, when I started with the company, there were 12 marketers who did what I did, basically recruit agents with the different carriers that we represent. And I learned a lot. I got educated very quickly, in the industry. And just never looked back. It was a great opportunity for me. I took advantage of every piece of the industry that I could. We were predominantly Medicare, mostly 80+ percent Medicare products, a little bit of ancillary and a little bit of life. And over the years, that's kind of changed quite a bit. Now we're really big on life products. We're really big on ancillary products. So I would say our Medicare focus and percentage of the business is somewhere, I'd say around 60%, 65%, which is huge. I mean, that's a big gap to fill with ancillary and life products. But what I would like to do today is to go over 3 of the products that I think are way undersold and needed. And we can talk about that, here in a little bit.
Absolutely. Well, yeah. And I was going to say, so our topic today are some of those ancillary products that you were talking about. And before we got kind of into the specifics of each of these great products that could really fit and help folks kind of fill some gaps in their business as they fill some gaps in their clients' coverage at the same time, explain why ancillary products are really kind of so crucial for agents to offer alongside, the primary insurance products.
Well, in my experience with the agents I work with, and I've got quite a few agents that I've met and worked with over the years. And what I've seen and heard on the phone a lot is, if they're Medicare focused, after AEP and OEP are pretty much winding down, they're kind of like in a holding pattern. It's like, what do I do next? And I feel based on conversations that a lot of agents just they want to get the Medicare covered and they don't really want to push the person or risk losing that sale. Where they could sell, when they're, let's say, take Medicare Advantage, for example, not many agents are offering hospital indemnity on top of the Medicare Advantage plan to help cover, the out-of-pocket costs that these clients are going to encounter. And so it's just kind of sitting there on the table when these clients down the road actually do end up going into the hospital and do have these out-of-pocket costs that they weren't really expecting. They could have had that covered, if the agent would have just done a couple extra steps or maybe went back after AEP and everything settled down right now, January, March, all the way through until next season, going back to their current clients and offering offering ancillary products like hospital indemnity or cancer, heart, and stroke. It's another thing that really can cause a financial burden on the clients, even if they are in a really good Medicare Advantage plan. Those unexpected costs could be covered if the agent just asks a few more questions and educates the client a little bit better than maybe they would have beforehand, before considering these ancillary products.
Right. And that really does, it goes to the heart of sort of what insurance is meant to do, right? It's meant to, provide that insurance against financial ruin, essentially, and really, bridge that gap between what people have and what they owe and some of these bills that can just be gigantic, right?
Right. That's true. And the agent just, I think they don't want to burden the client. I mean, it's human nature. We're all that way. I'm that way. And I'll probably never change. You always doubt in the back of your mind, if I do this, is it going to take away from something else? Is it going to change the course of what's going on with the client and with the agent? They just have to kind of push themselves to get used to asking those leading questions and say it in a way. And we have, by the way, we have a full set of training on ancillary products, life products, hospital indemnity, cancer, heart, and stroke, disability, things of that nature. We have full training videos to teach agents how to break the ice, how to overcome objections, things that probably keep the agent from really branching out to doing these ancillary products when he could be, actually helping himself out financially while giving better coverage to the client. Because when AEP is over and OEP is over and they've already made their money from that, for their commissions from those sales, there's nothing else really coming in throughout the year, and this is something that could really help the client and subsidize the agent with his income and, change the course of their direction. I mean, you sell a few of these, it can help with lead costs, it can get you more referrals, get you in more doors, open up more possibilities for more Medicare sales and things like that, things of that nature.
Yeah, it really is a kind of a win-win on both the, the agent side and the client side there, as long as that is something that you as the agent determine the client actually really does need. And if there is a need there, why not make that known? You are the insurance professional after all, so make that known to them. But again, you come up with a good point there, which is people don't want to seem pushy. They don't want to seem like that sort of greasy used car salesman kind of person,
Right. It's human nature. It's you just get that feeling. It's in our heads more than it is, a part of the client's focus.
Yeah. And then I feel like it's where that training that you mentioned comes in handy too, because then you sort of learn those skills that you need to not come across that way.
Yeah. And we have agents. We don't just have, carrier reps there. We do that as well, but we have a lot of the training with actual agents who are out there and doing it now. And they're covering things that they went through when they started that other people didn't explain to them for one reason or another. And they're a wealth of knowledge, and they're more than willing to give that knowledge to our agents. And I've learned a lot from them myself, even being in the industry this long. I've learned a lot from listening to these veterans who have done extremely well in things like final expense and, ancillary stuff, heart attack, stroke, hospital indemnity, and all of that. So we can, if agents want more information, they can call me. I can set them up with the link to get the training if they needed that. We have handouts that we do. One is selling financial expense, how to get started, which gives tips and tricks. And also it talks about how to overcome objections and obstacles that may come along the way. That's something that we would give out free to agents who are interested in looking at it, as well as also there's a needs analysis worksheet that I think if an agent's going out for whatever reason, it's something that he could drop off for free that basically the client can go through on their own. And it's not an obligation to buy or anything. It's just, it's a set of questions that the client would ask themselves, and it would be for maybe somebody, an heir, a son, a daughter who's going to be taking care of these things at that time when it happens, for them to, as a guideline for them to go, okay, this is where the burial plot is. This is what is owed now. This is the scenario I want my funeral done in. and where and things of that nature. Stuff that really doesn't come up and it's sometimes uncomfortable, but it would be good, in my opinion. I asked my father to do it and he did it. And it's sitting there, when that time does arise for me to go back and reference to what they really want done and where things are, where the accounts are and things of that nature. So, and that's something they can just do for themselves and leave there, it's just something free to help them. And it also brings up a conversation if the agent wants to take it that direction to talk about final expense and hospital indemnity and the other products, because they'll see that, hey, do you have life insurance to cover some of these bills? It looks like you're going to have when that happens. Right. So it's just another tool that we'll give out for free. It's something I can email to the agents if they're interested.
Well, absolutely. And we'll, of course, have throughout the show, we'll pop up the email address for Barry and also the phone number so agents can feel free to reach out and, get those resources and any other information about anything that we talk about here today on the show. And, we're going to go in now, I think, to some more specific products. I know, first of all, we're going to talk about a couple of different products, I believe, from American Home Life, both a final expense and there's a Medicare supplement that you wanted to mention as well. So let's kind of start about that. Talk about the final expense product maybe first here.
Okay. So American Home Life, very strong company, been around since 1939. They're based out of Topeka, Kansas. It's kind of one of my go-to companies because it's a simplified issue whole life product. They issue from ages 40 all the way up to age 89. So a really wide range of client would be able to fit into this product. The face amount, the burial policy face amount would be from $2,500 all the way up to $50,000. So it goes, from a small amount all the way up to $50,000 life insurance face amount. And those things are important. A lot of companies that sell this product, they only go to $20,000, $30,000. This will go all the way up to $50,000, all the way up to age 89. And that starting at a young age of 40, that's a pretty big deal too. Most simplified issue whole life final expense type products, they only start at age 50. So you have a lot larger age range with this company than you would with others. So it's kind of like a all encompassing where to start. It's a good company to start with the conversation when you're talking to a client. They're very diabetic friendly. So somebody who's on insulin, for instance, they're going to take them with a preferred rate. Someone with COPD, this is another big attribute to the company. Somebody who's been diagnosed with COPD, they could have gotten a diagnosis 3 months ago. American Home Life is going to accept them at a standard rate. They're going to rate them up a little bit higher than preferred, but the niche is they're going to give them an immediate death benefit. So they don't have to wait 2 or 3 years for that policy to pay out the face amount. If they accept the client, issue the policy, they're going to pay on that death claim immediately rather than wait. So that's another really important part of it. Somebody who's had a heart attack over 12 months ago or a stroke over 12 months ago, again, they're going to rate them up to a standard rating, but give them an immediate death benefit. So a scenario that I like to talk about is a 45-year-old guy didn't know he was having health issues, had a heart attack, recovered, made it past, 12 months. He's in his 13th month, doesn't think he can get insurance anywhere. And maybe his life insurance ran out, or maybe he just, because of what happened to him, decides that he really should, get something to cover him, but he thinks maybe because of that he can't qualify. American Home Life would be something that would take him and give him an immediate death benefit.
Oh, that's great. I mean, talk about simplified issue. That really is what it gets down to, is that, right, even if you have these issues, right? I mean, what's kind of the underwriting sort of process like with this, and how does that compare to maybe the more traditional whole life policies where there's maybe more involved?
Well, they have an underwriting chart, which is very thoroughly done. It's done by the name of the illness that the person has. So if you have somebody that's got chronic bronchitis, they can look on the chart and see, if they've had it so many months, if it's been over 12 months, it's going to get immediate coverage. If it just happened, how that's handled. But this some of the things I'm going to explain here will kind of give you an idea how liberal they are. And it's an instant decision product if they use the e-application. So if they go online and go into the portal and do the e-app for the client, by the time they're done entering all the client's information, they're going to know if it's going to be issued or not. And that alone itself is huge to agents in this market. They'll know. So the client will know, and they'll have the policy number issued later that day. So in theory, they could have a policy in their hand, within that day.
Wow.
If they're accepted.
It's of the essence these days, and so that's huge.
Yeah. And you could sell it completely over the phone. So you can sell it. They do a text code. So they would text the client's cell phone, and they would get that code. They would give that code over the phone to the agent. The agent would enter that into the portal. That would suffice as a signature. So they do that. And they also do what's called a voice signature, where they record their authorization over the phone, which is like a 3-minute phone call. It's super fast.
Wow. That's fantastic.
But some other things that they take multiple sclerosis. That's that comes up from time to time. But again, diabetes with retinopathy, which is a complication of diabetes, a pretty good one. Retinopathy and neuropathy, after 12 months, they're going to take that as standard. If it's under 12 months, they'll still accept it. And they do have a modified plan that is a graded plan that grades for 2 years. That means it would be their premium paid in plus 10% if something happened within the first 2 years. But that would be for, someone who's got some pretty serious health issues. But that 12-month window, once they've made it past that, there's a lot of illnesses and conditions that American Home Life will take that other companies won't even look at. They'll decline immediately. And they're going to be willing to look at it and give them an immediate death benefit option for that.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And we are doing a ton of business with them because of that. Just the way they've made it simple for the agent to go in and have so many things covered. If they're preferred, they're going to get a really good rate. If they buy a Medicare supplement from American Home Life, which has very, very attractive rates in most states, they're within the top 3, 9 times out of 10 in the states that they're in. If they do take a Medicare supplement with American Home Life and go through the underwriting process, if they pass the MedSup underwriting, they're going to get guaranteed issue final expense up to that $50,000 max face amount. But they're also going to give them 20% off of their final expense price. So that client's going to save 20% off of the preferred rate. If that happens, if they do that, there's no other company in the industry that can touch their rate. That rate will be locked down solid, the lowest price that the client could get anywhere. Wow. And that's guaranteed. So, and another thing to kind of push on that, it's just, when I say this, it seems like that's not true, but they're also bonusing every med sup that's underwritten. They're bonusing $125 on that if they do a combo app. So when you're in the e-app process, if you're doing a med sup, it's going to ask you at 2 points through the process. This client is guaranteed issue for their Medicare supplement. They qualify for. They qualify, they pass the underwriting, they qualify for guaranteed issue final expense. Do they want it? And if the client says, yeah, hey, I need that. I'd like to do 10,000. They put the 10,000 in. It shows them what the price is for the client at that rate, at the super preferred price. So it's all nice and tidy in there. It makes the agent look super organized and smart, which we all need help with sometimes.
I know I do. So there you go.
Every day.
Right.
But so that's a lot of money. That's $275, another $150 for the final expense. So that's bonus money that they're going to do throughout the rest of this year. So you could sit down with a husband and wife, sell them a Medicare supplement plan, add 2 life policies on it. I mean, your commission is through the roof. That could be like a $4,000 commission. $3,000, $4,000 commission in one sitting. It doesn't happen every day, probably not, but it puts in the client's mind, even if they don't buy the final expense. A lot of agents they call back later and say, hey, I'd still like to do that. I think they have 3 months to do it, where the guaranteed offer stands. so they could, decide later they want to do it and still get that super preferred pricing. And lastly, with them, you can add up to 9 grandchildren to this policy for $7.50 per year in increments of $2,500. So if they wanted 5 grandkids covered at $2,500 face amount, it would be $7.50 per year per grandchild. If they wanted 5,000, it would be double that. So basically $15 a year for 5,000 for each grandchild. And that's a nice bell to ring, and also in the same time, by bringing up the grandchildren, you're making them think about their own mortality and how important it's an emotional sale. It's how important, those ones that are going to be around after that time comes that are going to need that extra help, on these type of policies. It's huge.
Yeah. Well, and anytime you talk about, final expense policies or just life insurance in general, but final expense, I feel like especially it's an emotional conversation because you are referring to mortality, but then, you put that the bug in their ear about the grandkids too. I feel like that is also something because there's one thing in this world grandparents love even more than their own kids. It's the grandkids, right?
That's the truth. That's the truth. And then it makes them, it really sets them back, and it becomes instead of kind of a salesy talk, it's more, you hear the pause, there's a pause there and they're thinking, little Johnny and Sarah, no, I don't think they have any kind of coverage right now. And it could be considered a gift, it's a gift of something that they all need. We all need something if something was to arise to cover those costs that are going to be very unexpected. And it also buys time, that's another big part of what I wanted to kind of get across is these plans give the beneficiary time more than money. Sometimes time means a lot more than money when you got to figure things out and you're under duress because of things that are going on, like that.
100%. Like you can't put a price on peace of mind, right?
No, not at all. And then we have another company called Guaranteed Trust Life. And, these companies have been around for years and years and years, but they offer a final expense two actually. They offer 2 final expense policies that I think go really well hand in hand with American Home Life. But these policies, they're simplified issue whole life, but these are graded plans. So whether you buy the first plan or the other plan, the full face amount won't be paid until after the second year. But with that being said, they go very substandard with their underwriting. So something that American Home Life would kick out, there's a really good chance that Guaranteed Trust Life will take them. So their first plan is called Heritage, and it's a final expense policy. And they issue this product, again, these all fit together with ages. They go from age 40 all the way up to age 90. I don't know anybody else that goes to age 90 on a final expense policy, but their product is $2,500 beginning out face amount to up to $20,000 face amount. And there's only 6 health questions. And, they're questions like AIDS, being hospitalized, in a nursing home. They're not going to cover things like that. But if it's outside of that, there's a good chance that they're going to take it.
Yeah.
And they do an electronic app as well. And they do text signature and voice signature also. It's not instant decision, but it's instant. It'll be issued within a couple days. Everything, as long as everything is done the way it's supposed to. So that's one of the policies. So their first year death benefit would be the premium plus 5% because it's a graded plan. The second year would be 50% of the face amount. So most companies that do substandard final expense, they grade it and it's just premium plus 5% or premium plus 10% for the first 2 or 3 years. Where this is in the second year, very liberal underwriting, they're going to pay 50% of that face amount. So if he has a 20,000 face amount benefit, he dies in the second year, he's going to get, 10,000 face amount for his heirs, which is big.
Yeah. That's huge.
And the other plan, it's another simplified issue, but it's built for pretty much everybody that's an adult. They go from age 18 on this product. It's called Life Select. And they go from age 18 all the way up to age 85. And they go from $10,000 all the way up to $150,000 face amount. Wow. So really big face amounts with a substandard, easy issue chassis. So that product is, I think it's perfect for the younger ages. People maybe have a couple health issues they can't get issued somewhere else and they want to get $100,000 worth of coverage. This would be something for the agent to go back and look at.
Yeah. And what's the process like with that one? Is that the same like 6 health questions kind of a deal?
Good question. So it is 6 health questions, but there's a part, I think it's question 5, where there's a lot of sub questions underneath of that. But what that talks about is they go back 5 years on this product on cancer, heart, stroke, COPD, things of that nature. Most of the stuff that other companies, would probably decline, anyway. But when you can go in and pass this easier than you can most other companies, you'll be able to get, a healthy face amount if that's something that the client wants. And then they also have a turbo term. I have to throw this in there because the turbo term is amazing. And that product goes from 100,000 up to $1 million in coverage. And that's from issue ages 20 all the way up to age 70. And again, it's like a fully underwritten product, but it's sold over the phone. They use AI and background technology to check their prescriptions, their attending physician statement, and MIB to check and see. And if everything jives, they're going to go ahead and issue that client, and they'll be able to, like with American Home Life, they'll have a policy that day. So that's another product GTL Guaranteed Trust offers, which is nice.
Yeah, that's great as well. And another option there, because obviously that one being term instead of whole like the others. Mm-hmm. And then there was the Medico hospital indemnity plan as well. What stands out about this one?
Okay, so Medico came out with about a year ago. They came out with a new hospital indemnity plan. It's similar to the others that are on the market, but where they stand out, they issue theirs from ages 18 all the way up to 85. Most hospital indemnity plans are built for the senior market. They start at age 60, generally speaking, go up to age 85, about, depending. But this one is guaranteed issue from age 60 all the way up to age 79. So that's 19 years of guaranteed issue. So these people can go back, these agents can go back to their clients that they've sold Medicare Advantage policies to, have somebody who had cancer 2 years ago, or cancer a year ago, or cancer 6 months ago. And they'll be able to qualify for this, where everybody else is going to decline it in most circumstances. There's a 6 month pre-existing waiting period. So anything related to that cancer would be, not paid. But if they fell down and broke their hip, that would be covered. If they had a heart attack, not related to the cancer, they would cover that hospital stay, where, other companies wouldn't even issue the policy. So that part, the age range and the fact that they go 19 years of guaranteed issue, nobody else in the industry is doing anything close to that. I think the most is like a 5-year window, 68 to 72 or something like that. So it's limited.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was going to say that's huge. It means a whole lot for, a whole lot of people who, this is again, one of those good, plans to mention, especially when you're speaking with people who are, maybe you're working with, on their Medicare products mm-hmm. as well. This hospital indemnity, definition is to make you whole, right? So those out-of-pocket expenses, those will all then be reimbursed. That's just a great way to be like, look, this is going to lessen the financial burden if you have to be hospitalized for a certain amount of time.
Right. And the client, I know this happens. The client goes a couple years, they're healthy, they're on the Med Advantage plan, they haven't had any issues, their doctor's fine. Then they get something that they didn't expect. They have a heart attack, or God forbid they get cancer, and they have to go in and they forgot that there was a $350 a day, out of pocket copay for the first 5 days in the hospital that they got to come out with to pay out of their own pocket. that's when they're calling their agent saying, hey, or probably not even them, their spouse in a tizzy, wondering what to do, is calling the agent saying, hey, we weren't expecting this. What's this all about? Well, that's more of a reason for an agent to bring this up at the point of sale and cover it, at least offer it. I came up with a sheet that I was given to my agents to have them make the client sign. They understand that they're waiving this coverage that would cover something if they were put into the hospital for 5 days, that they're going to have these costs. This would cover it if you buy this now, and you can get it now. You qualify now. Later on, you may not qualify for it, and you're denying that. So if you're willing to let that go, just sign this paper, and so I can keep it in my records that I did offer this to you, because this day probably will come for one of you, where you're going to be in the hospital and you're going to need that extra coverage, because you may not have it. You may not have it in your savings, and nobody wants that to happen when the last thing they need to worry about is finances,
Right.
So the product stands out in those two reasons specifically, but they do a 7% household discount. That's when 18 years of age living with them, they're going to get 7% off their price. The benefits consist of a $100 a day benefit up to $600 a day in $25 increments. The client can pick 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 21 or 31 days of benefits in the hospital. And that resets after 60 days of full recovery. It'll reset. The policy is guaranteed renewable for life as long as it's, the premiums are paid. It covers the base policy. So I ran a client yesterday in Ohio, a 70-year-old female, just to kind of give the agents who are listening an idea what this stuff runs, because a lot of they just assume it's going to be $80, $90, $100 a month extra that the client's not going to buy. Well, I ran a 70-year-old female in Ohio, no household discount, just straight up, with the basic benefit of $400 a day for 6 days in the hospital. That covers observation at 100% of the inpatient amount. It covers emergency room visits up to 4 per year at $150 a pop. So if they go to the emergency room, whether the policy pays for that or not, this is an indemnity plan. It's going to pay the money directly to the client. So if they do have it covered, they're getting a $150 check. So transportation, this is another thing that's built into the base policy that nobody else is offering, and it's included in the base plan. It's a transportation benefit. So if the client has to travel over 50 miles for care or surgery, or if they have to spend the night somewhere because, the hospitals of choice where they wanted to have the surgery done or whatever done, this would, help pay for that. And that's it's $100 a day for up to 10 days per year. So that comes in handy. I mean, if you have to travel and spend the night somewhere, that extra, $200, $300, $400 for that's being done, that comes in extremely helpful.
Yeah. Well, especially I think for folks who may live in more suburban or rural areas, they have to travel. So, you have to go see a specialist for some type of care.
Right.
And they have to do that traveling. I mean, boy, that's that can make a real big difference in their life.
Yep, it definitely can. And part of the base policy also, it covers inpatient mental health at $175 per visit. That's up to 7 days per year. And then they have a slew of riders. They have an ambulance rider that's from $250 ambulance, or $2,500 for airlift if needed. They have skilled care. They have a lump sum cancer benefit up to $10,000. Most of the other companies don't offer a cancer benefit. This is a rider that you can add cancer to that. And then outpatient surgery benefit, urgent care, and so on. But getting back to the base policy, at the 70-year-old female rate, it was $28 a month.
Oh, wow.
For $400 a day for 6 days, plus transportation benefit, observation, and emergency room. So that right there, if you can add that benefit to somebody who's got a $350 a day out of pocket cost to go into the hospital for the first 5 days, you're covered. That client's, they're gonna love the agent when they realize that they don't have to pay that they are going to be reimbursed for it. So it's something that everybody should offer when they're talking to Medicare Advantage clients. If not at the point of sale, if you don't feel like that's the right time, or it might hinder the sale, which I get it. I'm human too. And I do that on a daily basis myself, talking to agents, instead of offering an extra, product I think they'll need, I just stick with the main thing. But you could always go back after the fact. Right now would be a great time, to talk to your clients that you've already sold the Medicare Advantage plan, or people you sold a couple of years ago. They're happy with what they've got. They've stayed on the same policy. It's a great, Happy New Year. How's your New Year starting? How's everything going with your plan? Anything I can help you with? Oh, by the way, and then you go into the other products, the ancillary products, and it could be a cancer policy. But I think the hospital indemnity would be the first thing that I would talk to my Medicare Advantage clients about. And then secondly, I would break into, possibly the needs analysis sheet, to drop off. Hey, I got this needs analysis. It works for so many of my clients. It's helped out tons of people when those hard times come, when the air, the kids have to deal with what's going on with their parent. It tells them where to go to for the information they need to get the job done, for the client and their family. And then you're the hero, then the agent is a superhero, and those children and relatives that see how this has benefited them. That's when you get your word of mouth sale, so it's a win-win all around. I mean, the client needs it. They may not know they need it, but that's the agent's job to inform them and educate them to what they're potentially going to be liable for when these hard situations arise.
Yeah, absolutely. And then instead of the client or the spouse of the client calling them in that scenario you mentioned earlier, like calling up the agent and kind of berating them, being like, why in the world do we have this $350 a day expense that we got to pay out of pocket? That, contrast that with the agent being a superhero to them and to the family. It's a huge difference there, not only for them as the client and the family, because that just makes a huge difference financially and therefore emotionally and all of those things. It's a big difference for the agent. And then potentially, as you said, those referrals can come through word of mouth because you have done such a great job for this family.
Very much so. Very much so. And with the final expense products, they can be sold over the phone. So you can actually call your clients, check in on them over the phone, and if they're interested, you can go right into the sale right then and there, get them a policy issued potentially that day, and coverage that day. Where otherwise they wouldn't have this. And when that time does arrive, it will arise one way or another. It's going to happen. They're going to be in a lot better position because of you doing the due diligence and taking, the extra steps to educate them. So with that being said, in addition to all that, if any agent wants to call and talk with me, I'd be glad to help them. I can show them what we've talked about in more detail. I have tons of handouts, tons of PDF files that I can send over with tips and tricks. I will be able to offer the link to the website for the training webinars and all the other materials that they can access to maybe advertise if they want. And then on top of that, we also, which I think we've done another podcast on this, but we also work with several lead vendors. Some do live transfer calls for final expense and Medicare, and some do warm transfers. We also work with postcard lead, mail houses that do postcard lead drops at a little bit cheaper price than you would expect. And we can refer those out as well. So a combination of all these things working together for the agent, I think will really help them financially and help their clients tremendously.
Definitely. So, and of course, we'll have all of the information there and how you can contact Barry to get all of those resources or any more information that you might want and need to, help make this a bigger part of your business or a part of your business to begin with. Because like I say, it can be huge for the client. It can also be huge for the agents, right?
Absolutely. And in addition too, we're an independent brokerage firm. So There's no captive contract that you have to sign. You can take a couple contracts with us and try us out. If you don't like, you're welcome to transfer. We don't hold people. And it's just, I think it's something, if an agent wants to enhance what they're already doing, please give us a call and let us show you how we can help you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Barry, just about getting ready to wrap up here, but anything else that you wanted to add about any of these products or anything for the agents who might be listening or watching right now?
Just that we get national deals. A lot of these, Americare Life is an Amerilife exclusive product, along with several other companies. You would have to go through Amerilife indirectly, whether you went through the brokerage you're with now. We offer top contracts. If you work with us, there's nobody who can beat our commission. We pay higher than most companies out there, most brokerages out there. And we also offer a full line of support. We have a staff of around 50 people here. If I'm not available, somebody else can help and pick up the pieces if they need it.
Wonderful. All right. Well, Barry, we'll, of course, again, share all that contact info, and agents can reach out and get those resources. I think these, ancillary products are really something that can become central, really, to, instead of just ancillary, very central to people when they have those conversations with their clients or potential clients about their coverage and how this really helps fill the gap, bridge those gaps between what they have and what they need. And it's just really, really super important. So I thank you for coming on and sharing all the info today.
You're welcome. And I challenge agents out there to set a goal this year. It's the beginning of the year. Set a goal to break outside of your shell and start to talk about these different ancillary products. You'll realize that once you start talking about it, you'll get more familiar with it. You'll get more comfortable, and the sales will increase day by day, and you'll be very happy.
And you don't know unless you try, right? So
that's right.
There you go.
That's very true. And thank you for your time, and thanks for having me on today. Really appreciate it.
No worries at all, Barry. Always a pleasure. We look forward to having you back again soon. And thank you all for watching and or listening to this edition of AMG Academy. I'm Matt McClure. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for joining us for this edition of AMG Academy. For more information on any of today's topics or to contact us, visit AmerilifeMarketingGroup.com.